Welcome to this podcast from Stratfor, leader in global intelligence.
While the future of the war in Afghanistan, the stability of Pakistan in Iraq, and the Iran nuclear threat continue to dominate the headlines and preoccupy world leaders, and the financial community frets about the need to raise more capital to make institutions more sustainable, two other creeping concerns are beginning to create furrowed brows in the chancelleries and salons of Europe. The first is the approaching referendum in Ireland on the Lisbon Treaty on reform of the Constitution of the European Union. An even bigger worry is the looming Copenhagen Global Summit on Climate Change, where, whether there's an agreement or not, the upshot is likely to create new pressure on the ever-so-slight economic recovery we're seeing in some countries. Hello and welcome to Stratfor. I'm Colin Chapman. Let's take the Irish referendum first. This is scheduled for October the 2nd, less than a month away. If the European Union's plans to expand eastward are not to be stifled, the Lisbon Treaty, which modernises and reforms the structures of the Brussels Club, needs to go through. The Irish blocked it when they voted no in their first referendum in June last year, and there have been high hopes that second time round they'll change their minds. But the day before yesterday, a group of 135 town and county councillors from across the political spectrum spoke out against the treaty and joined the No campaign. A poll in the Irish Times still has the yeas winning, but the paper found that 1 in 4 are undecided, and their vote could go either way. Ireland's economy is in a terrible mess, and Stratfor thinks there's a real risk that the Irish public will use the Lisbon referendum to express displeasure over the government's handling of the economic crisis, which means that the treaty meant to overhaul the European Union's cumbersome institutions could be in trouble. An Irish no would be a nail in the coffin for EU enlargement plans in the Balkans and Turkey, and possibly force countries on Europe's periphery into Russia's waiting embrace. Even without what may be Irish disillusionment, an increasing number of Europeans are questioning the wisdom of further enlargement. Stratfor's analysis, just published on our website, argues that the Russians could well be the beneficiaries of an Irish no vote. This will add to the increasing tension in Europe. And then there's Copenhagen, where in advance many European countries have made public commitments to cut greenhouse gas emissions, develop more environmentally friendly policies, and introduce a tax on carbon. The trouble with this is that although the Sherpas working to prepare the ground for the conference are scrambling to put together what could be the bones of an agreement, no one has yet been able to put a number on the cost. And cost doesn't mean just the money needed to invest in green technologies. It embraces also lost jobs in a number of industries. Climate change will also be on the agenda at the coming G20 summit in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. But this gathering is unlikely to come up with an answer to the questions that business is asking, like how much does my company need to keep aside for climate change? In most countries in Europe, governments have yet to spell out how climate change targets are yet to be met, if they're going to be met at all. Finding international agreement on a new carbon regime will be a very tough call. Getting business to pay for it, another one. Please take a look at Stratfor's analysis on the Irish referendum. I'm Colin Chapman at Stratfor. Thanks for joining me today.